This fucking thing. Well, welcome back to another episode of 42nd Street Peach Grindhouse, really shitty cinema edition. I got a really shitty double feature for you, and it starts out with something from 1968. A box office international production, and Harry Novack's name is proudly scrolled underneath it. So, what is Harry Novack's modus operandi anyway? If it's a cinematic turd, I'll release it, because this is what this one is. This starts out as a barn dance with these two hot chicks, and one hot chick goes up into the hayloft with this guy who picked her up, but then seems to be an attempted rape, which is broken up by by a guy named Mr. Bradley, who really reminds me of a guy named Saul who used to be behind the counter of a Jewish deli back in West Orange, wearing thick glasses, kinky hair, that type of thing. So he's a kind of weirdo, and he's also a mortician. So he figures out which car Ann is driving, the girl, and her redheaded girlfriend Terry, and drains the gas out of it. So they run out of gas, and they're conveniently picked up by the handyman, who brings them back to the house where he shares it with his sister. And they find out they can't fucking leave. Sounds familiar? But yeah, anyway. They can't leave, and this guy's a sexual sadist, and basically, after one of them tries to escape and is tackled by the handyman, is brought back to the basement where other girls who have tried to escape are basically embalmed and mummified or whatever, but they're just models standing there holding their breath. So after he tells them that and basically says, after I'm done with you, you can leave, as he anoints himself with baby oil on his very hairy chest and proceeds to rape the girl as his sister whips her. Well, the two girls finally figure something out, that basically, if they start a fight, the twosome will go in and break it up, and maybe they can get the upper hand, which they do. So they knock the sister unconscious. They tie up the sister with bed sheets. They knock Mr. Bradley unconscious, or so they think. But as they're trying to escape, he follows them through the basement where he keeps his models, and he gets knocked down again, and there's candles burning for some odd reason, and a piece of crepe catches fire, and voila, we all know what happens next. The whole place goes up in smoke, and you see these two girls running away. Like I said, I think Harry Novack would release a turd if he could get away with it. I got a bunch of other Harry Novack films I got to check out, which may or may not destroy my brain. But anyway, this one is a good one to avoid, as is 1980's White Cannibal Queen, which just got another, big Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome with a, misleading cover with a hot chick on it and things like that. Well, as cannibal movies go in 1980, this one's a real fucking turd. It opens up with Al Cliver and his wife and young daughter in some kind of unspecified wilderness, and the boat is attacked by cannibals, which they basically devour his wife on deck, and there's this scene of a face holding up a pile of guts or something like that, which is fucking stupid. But anyway, the cannibals grab his daughter, he goes after them, they capture him and cut off his fake arm and eat it in front of him. And if you notice, the cannibals have sideburns, male pattern baldness, and visible tan lines which wristwatches and wedding rings were removed. And at one point, the cannibal chief, who forgot to remove his wedding ring, for some reason he's laying there in his last days, and the camera is panning up his nose, showing clumps of nose hair hanging out. The White Cannibal Queen turns out to be Sabrina Ciani, who was in Conquest and ate with the Flying Eagle and other stuff, which is not bad to look at. The Al Cliver character, of course, goes back looking for his daughter with his missing arm, but when you're playing a character with a missing arm, you should tape the real arm to your chest so it looks good instead of having it flopping around under the shirt. The movie's a complete turd. They substitute operating room footage with hands going into chest cavities to simulate the cannibals eating, and when someone is attacked, there's a cutaway and there's nothing left but a pile of guts. So this is another turd that one of these boutique companies decide to put out, and oddly, I've been taking off the mailing lists of some of these companies because I criticize their shit. Well, you know something? If you put out a turd, I'll tell people it's a turd. It's that simple. And basically, both of these films are fucking turds. White Cannibal Queen was also released as Mondo Cannibal and Cannibal on Blue Underground's DVD, which is If you can buy that for $5, it's probably the best way to view it. So that's our show for today. I suffered through these two for you. So thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side.